Today was considered a yardstick to measure when the verdict will be given on whether or not to remove President Yoon from office. But the Constitutional Court remains tight-lipped. Ahead of the U.S. reciprocal tariffs in the weeks to come, the Trump administration mentions more than a dozen countries that it views as imposing substantial tariffs on America, but with details withheld. U.S. President Trump spoke with his Russian counterpart Putin, and they agreed that Russia and Ukraine should pause attacks on energy and infrastructure for 30 days. It's March 19th, 8 p.m. in Seoul. This is Newscenter. Thank you for joining us. I'm Jimin. President Yoon's political fate remains in limbo as the Constitutional Court remains silent on a date for its decision on his impeachment. Speculation grows over longer than expected deliberation. Our correspondent Oh Soo-young reports.
3 weeks and counting, the Constitutional Court is yet to announce when it will rule on President Yoon's impeachment, meaning there will be no verdict this week. As of Wednesday, 22 days since Yoon's final trial hearing was held, the court has not revealed the date it would make the fateful ruling. Given that the court notified former Presidents Park Geun-hye and Roh Moo-hyun 2 to 3 days in advance of their respective ruling dates, Yoon's verdict is now expected to take place next week at the earliest. The 8-member bench is reportedly continuing to deliberate on Yoon's impeachment. The longer-than-expected process has given rise to diverse speculation over what's holding up the justices. Some experts believe they have already decided unanimously to impeach President Yoon and are fine-tuning their positions to deliver an indisputable judgment amid fears that the result may trigger extreme reactions from the public. The Seoul Western District Court's approval to extend a warrant to detain Yoon prompted violence from his supporters. Some believe the bench may be divided ideologically and are struggling to align their views, given how an earlier impeachment case of Korea Communications Commission Chair Lee Jin-suk was dismissed, as the justices' opinions were split evenly in line with their political orientations. In any case, the justices are facing growing calls to make a swift decision as Yoon's prolonged suspension from office hinders effective governance of the nation. The bench is also under significant political pressure. Those supporting Yoon's impeachment wish to quickly trigger a snap presidential election, which polls show would largely favour opposition Democratic Party leader Lee Jae-myung. Meanwhile, conservatives, including Yoon supporters, are calling for the case to be dismissed, or for the court to deliver a ruling after Lee Jae-myung's own verdict on one of his 5 criminal cases next Tuesday.
If 6 or more justices agree to uphold the impeachment, Yoon will be removed from office immediately, triggering an early presidential election that must be held within 60 days. If 3 or more justices are against impeachment, Yoon will return to his office and resume his duties. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.
With speculation that the date for the president's impeachment verdict could be given today, rallies continued in the capital, and the mood was more tense than on any other day. An Sung-jin has this report.
Dozens have gathered, shouting and waving signs. The voices of the protesters echo on nearby streets. Speculation had arisen that South Korea's Constitutional Court would announce the date for its ruling on President Yoon's impeachment on Wednesday, so it comes as no surprise that the protesters had gathered. Starting from early morning, those who are against the impeachment have been waving the Korean and American flags while shouting that the impeachment should be voided. Their supporters included members of Save Korea, a religious advocacy group, as well as the Liberty Unification Party. A handful of them had camped out overnight, while some set up a one-person relay demonstration.
I'm against the impeachment. I get so frustrated at the main opposition party and the fact that Lee Jae-myung hasn't even been arrested. The media is also releasing biased news.
Those in support of the impeachment clustered together in nearby streets and close to Gwanghwamun Square. Bereaved families from the Itaewon tragedy performed the 159-bow ceremony in hopes of President Yoon's impeachment, while other groups, including Pan Youth Action, also gathered for the protest. Those in favor of impeachment also held candlelit rallies.
I am a supporter of the impeachment, and I have not been able to sleep well because of all this stress. I don't know why they keep delaying the court ruling.
As the sentencing date is expected in the coming days, protests from different groups are set to continue. With mounting tensions on both sides, the police have been setting up and gearing up, including setting up large barricades and vehicle blockades, as well as placing additional personnel. The police are to mobilize all available personnel to respond and maintain order at the competing rallies. An Song-jin, Arirang News.
Moving on, the Trump administration has highlighted the presence of, quote, 15 dirty trade partners, as it reaffirms the implementation of reciprocal tariffs on April 2nd. South Korea is closely watching the move. Lee Soo-jin covers this latest development and more.
Concerns over how U.S. President Donald Trump's reciprocal tariffs will impact South Korea growing, especially with its potential inclusion in the so-called Dirty 15 group of trade partners. Speaking to Fox News on Tuesday, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said that there were 15 nations, which he referred to as the Dirty 15, that are imposing substantial tariffs on the U.S. He did not clarify which nations would be included, but with Trump previously highlighting South Korea as one of the countries that he claimed was unfairly benefiting from trade imbalances, there are growing concerns that Korea may be among the countries targeted.
And South Korea's average tariff is 4 times higher. Think of that, 4 times higher. And we give so much help militarily and in so many other ways to South Korea.
South Korea's trade surplus with the U.S. reached over $55 billion last year, meaning that it could be a major target for the Trump administration. Bessent said that come April 2nd, each country will receive a specific reciprocal tariff number deemed fair by the U.S. and that Dirty 15 countries are likely to face higher tariffs due to perceived unfair trade practices. He added that the tariff calculation would be determined by the U.S. Trade Representative and the U.S. Commerce Department. The U.S. Treasury Secretary said that he has not seen any figures yet, as they're still being calculated. But Bessent expressed optimism that some of the tariffs may not go into effect if a deal is pre-negotiated or if countries look to negotiate after April 2nd. Emphasizing that the U.S. is only in pursuit of fair and reciprocal trade, Bessent said that countries that stop trade practices that the U.S. deems unfair could avoid reciprocal tariffs. Such practices include non-tariff barriers, currency manipulation, unfair funding, and labor suppression. While Bessent believes reciprocal tariffs could lead to a win-win situation for everyone, they continue to cause concerns here in South Korea, with trade officials keen to avoid new U.S. tariffs. Lee Soo-jin, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, acting President Choi Sang-mok has reaffirmed government support for small and medium-sized businesses amid the 25% U.S. tariffs on steel and aluminum imports into the American market. During a meeting on Wednesday, he spoke of trade insurance for the steel sector and consultations for smaller companies to address the financial burden of tougher U.S. tariffs. Choi also highlighted the importance of maintaining close and constructive communication with all parties involved to minimize the potential fallout from excessive trade barriers. Russia has rejected a full 30-day truce with Ukraine and instead accepted calls to cease assaults on energy and infrastructure. This latest development follows phone talks between the leaders of the Kremlin and the White House. Choi Soo-young has more.
U.S. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin have agreed on a limited ceasefire and energy and infrastructure targets in Russia and Ukraine. On Tuesday local time, the White House announced that in a lengthy phone call between both parties, Russia agreed to halt attacks on energy and infrastructure facilities for 30 days. The Kremlin stated that Putin had immediately ordered a halt to attack on these sites. During the 3-year conflict between Russia and Ukraine, attacks on these sites caused immense damage. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky also stated that he supports Trump's proposal.
We support all steps towards ending the war. We will give support, but in order to support something, we need to understand what specifically it is.
He expressed his willingness to speak with Trump at any time to hear the details on the phone talks with Putin. He also stated that Ukraine cannot be excluded from future discussions on the details of the ceasefire. However, a full ceasefire still seems some way off. Recently, Putin rejected Trump's proposal for a 30-day full ceasefire, citing concerns such as Ukraine's potential rearmament. During the call, Putin also insisted that foreign military and intelligence assistance to Ukraine should be halted. Europe welcomed the agreement between Trump and Putin, but stressed that Ukraine's position must be taken into account. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and French President Emmanuel Macron stated in a press conference on Tuesday that Ukraine must be involved in the negotiations to achieve a just peace for Ukraine. Meanwhile, Moscow said that Russia and Ukraine are set to exchange 175 prisoners of war each on Wednesday. Cheon, Arirang News.
Israel's renewed strikes on Gaza have killed more than 400 people, breaking the already fragile ceasefire. The international community raised their voices in condemnation. Jimin has the latest.
The 2-month-long ceasefire between Israel and Gaza has been shattered after Israel resumed airstrikes in Gaza. Early Tuesday, Israeli forces launched strikes that, according to the Gazan Health Ministry, killed over 400 Palestinians, including women and children. This occurred as the first phase of the ceasefire that started in January ended, but with plans for talks on a second phase to end the war and the release of more hostages beginning. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu defended the airstrikes, asserting that ceasefire negotiations would continue only under fire.
I want to assure Hamas this is only the beginning. We will continue to fight to achieve all the goals of this war, securing the release of all our hostages, eliminating Hamas, and ensuring that Gaza will no longer pose a threat to Israel.
Both Israel and Hamas blamed each other for violating the truce, which had mostly remained in place since January. Netanyahu stated that the strikes were ordered because Hamas had rejected ceasefire extension proposals. While Hamas did not retaliate directly, it accused Israel of undermining efforts to secure a permanent ceasefire. Hamas still holds 59 of the approximately 250 hostages taken during the October 7, 2023 attack on Israel. Hamas stated that it saw Israel's attack as Netanyahu's decision to resume war and a choice to abandon Israeli captives. The international community has also widely condemned the renewed violence, with the United Nations expressing deep concern over the escalating humanitarian crisis.
We are horrified by last night's Israeli airstrikes and shelling in Gaza, which killed hundreds, according to the Ministry of Health in the Strip. This will add tragedy onto the tragedy.
Several countries, including Egypt and France, have also called for an immediate halt to hostilities. Jimin, Arirang News.
Nearly half of North Korea's population is estimated to be undernourished, says a recent UN report. The report, submitted to the UN Human Rights Council by Elizabeth Salmon, the UN Special Rapporteur on North Korean human rights, estimated that about 12 million people, roughly 46% of the population, have been undernourished in recent years. Despite efforts to boost domestic food production, chronic food insecurity remains a major issue in the North. The report pointed to aging infrastructure, outdated technology, and frequent natural disasters as key factors that are worsening the crisis. Korean e-commerce giant Coupang has been recognized as one of the world's most innovative retail companies. The U.S.-based business media firm Fast Company announced its World's Most Innovative Companies 2025 on Tuesday, and Coupang ranked number 2 in the retail category, following apparel seller J.Crew. Coupang secured the top spot as an e-commerce company, ranking higher than Amazon, which placed 8th. Fast Company highlighted the firm's one-stop e-commerce platform that utilizes AI, robotics, and automation to enhance service innovation. South Korea is the global powerhouse of esports, and its universities are now hoping to play a part in nurturing some of the country's future stars. Lee Yoon-hee takes a look.
At first glance, students playing esports games may seem like they're just having fun. But this is actually part of a university course.
Above all, understanding games is essential. This is a game practice room, something you don't typically find at regular universities. Many students have once dreamed of becoming professional esports players, but as they dive deeper into the world of gaming, they realize that success in esports comes in many forms.
I started playing the game League of Legends in high school, and I ranked 33rd in the country at the highest challenger level. I received pro offers and joined a training academy, but soon realized how competitive the scene was. So I decided to pursue a related career and become a game analyst and tournament organizer.
Many South Korean universities are turning gaming into an academic and professional field, opening doors to a variety of careers. As esports gains popularity, many players invest significant time and effort, but never reach the pro level. However, education in this field can open new opportunities for them. Most importantly, it can provide a fresh start for pro gamers who are often known for having short career spans. Behind esports star players and tournaments, key roles include global event organizers, content marketers, team coaches, and media professionals who share players' performances with the public.
Our curriculum trains students to become professionals in areas such as planning and organizing esports tournaments, as well as game programming for gaming companies.
I chose to pursue a degree in esports because I love it, and I feel it suits my strength. Also, I believe it's a growing industry.
Dongyang University's campus, located just outside of Seoul, is home to the first 4-year esports program in the metropolitan area, while many other universities are also embracing the growing esports industry by offering training for talented individuals. Lee Eun-hee, Arirang News.
On the entertainment front, K-pop boy band Stray Kids and Jimin from BTS were among those celebrated at the annual iHeartRadio Music Awards 2025 in Los Angeles on Tuesday local time. Stray Kids won K-pop Album of the Year for the second year in a row, with its album 8 released last July. Meanwhile, ATEEZ was named K-pop Artist of the Year, while BTS Jimin won K-pop Song of the Year with his track Who. Girl group ILIT clinched Best New Artist for K-pop. The awards also introduced a new category this year, a favorite K-pop dance challenge, which went to Yeonjun from Tomorrow by Together. Solar sails are a method of propulsion for spacecraft using solar radiation, and if they are well developed, experts believe they may serve as means of travel in space. Our Cha Eun-kyung covers Korea's related efforts.
Korean researchers have developed an apparatus that can store solar sails and then deploy them once a spacecraft reaches space. The square-shaped solar sail with an area of 10 square meters obtains power by capturing photons emitted by the sun in the sail.
It seems like the wind pushing a sailboat, but it's actually a photon engine that drives the craft. For this, when photons from the sun hit the sail, they move it forward.
If the solar sail is attached to a spaceship, it can travel through space for extended times without using a conventional engine. The solar sail made by the Korean researchers is larger than the ACS-3 unveiled by NASA in April last year, which is 9 square meters. Also, researchers explained that the solar sail is extremely light since it is an aluminum metallized PET film. The solar sail can be folded down to 20 square centimeters so that it can be easily stored in the opening apparatus. A direct current electric motor easily folds and deploys the sail in space. Eyes are on whether the sail made by the local researchers can be utilized in space after its successful demonstration on land. Cha Eun-kyung, Arirang News.
As the cold air from the North Pole still remains, temperatures in Seoul were below 0 degrees this morning. The temperature in Seoul will recover to 1 degree Celsius tomorrow morning and will rise to 15 degrees during the day. However, as smoke from overseas gradually flows in, air quality is expected to be dusty tomorrow. Seoul, Incheon, Chungcheongnam-do Province and Jeollanam-do Province will see bad levels of ultrafine dust. Tomorrow morning, Daejeon, Gwangju, and Daegu will start off at 0 degrees Celsius and Chuncheon at -3 degrees. Daily highs will move up to 14 degrees in Chuncheon and Busan, 16 degrees in Daejeon and Gyeongju. Temperatures will rise significantly to around 20 degrees this weekend, and the weather will feel like late April to early May. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world. That is Newscenter for tonight. Thank you for watching. A panel session up next.